Hello, everyone. I'm so excited today to be going live on YouTube. And today we're going to be talking about why you failed on that goal you set yourself. Now, you have probably been in a position where this might be you, for example. You might have told yourself, I'm going to start this new diet and I'm going to start eating this new way. And today's the last day that I eat this way. And that's it. I'm done after that. I'm not eating this way anymore. I'm starting my new diet. But then you stick to it for a little bit. And then you fall into cravings. Excuse me. Sneeze break. So you start this new diet, but quickly you find that you give into cravings and you fail, right? Maybe you decided you're going to start a new exercise routine and you try it for like a day or two and then it gets overwhelming and then you stop. And there's so many reasons why you might be failing at your goals. And today we're going to be talking about the 3 missing things from your goal setting process that might actually be contributing to you self-sabotaging without even realizing it. Self-sabotage is something we all do without realizing it, because the thing is, often, a lot of the times, it's unconscious. It's not conscious. We're not trying to sabotage our own progress. Of course not. There's a part of us that wants to be better and do better and make change. That part exists. But what we haven't actually done is tried to talk to that part in the language that it understands. We try to talk to that part using our emotional reactivity, and it doesn't really respond well to that. Like, here's an example. Maybe one day something happens and you realize, you know what, I'm too unfit and I'm done with being unfit. I need to have more physical activity in my life. And then you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to make a promise to myself and I'm going to start working out every day and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to figure out a whole new workout routine and that's what I'm going to do. You make this promise. But listen, like, this reactive language that you're using, it's just very emotionally reactive. When you use that language to speak to that part of yourself that wants to be better, it doesn't respond well, because the language that it understands is specific. The language that it understands is measurable. The language that it understands is achievable tasks, something it can actually realistically visualize, and things that you can look at it in the future at a specific time and say, okay, I need to get this done by this time, for example. But we didn't use that language. We just said, oh, we're going to start doing this new workout and we're going to do all this. And then we wonder why our goals fail. This is the reason why, because the strategy that we're using to communicate with ourselves is broken. And so this is what I want to help you today, to come up with a better strategy so that we can start achieving your goals. So the first point that I would like to make is these broken self-promises that we make to ourselves. And when we break these promises, it results in a loss of self-trust and a feeling of shame. So here's an example. When you made a promise to yourself that I'm going to start working out, right? And I'm going to start doing this and I'm going to start doing that. You made this promise to yourself. And then eventually, 2 days later, 2 weeks later, that promise is broken. What happens? You start to lose that trust in yourself. You start thinking, maybe I'm just not capable of following through on my goals. You start thinking, maybe I'm just not made for physical activity in general. You start to think that I can't trust myself to follow through with anything. And you start thinking to yourself, maybe this is why I deserve all the negative things in my life. And it becomes about your self-worth and it results in shame. And one thing I would like to mention is, all this and more is something that I go quite deep into in our group coaching program before Doubt Wins. And that coaching program is actually live not too far from today. It's actually going live tomorrow. And there's still time to join. Just leave me a comment or send me a message. So, the first point about the loss of self-trust and the shame resulting from that loss of self-trust, it's so damaging because you know what happens in the future? We just stop setting ourselves big goals after a while. We just stop even trying to aim high. And we're resolved to the fact that we're just here and we can't really move forward from here. And we're not capable of moving forward. And what this results in is solidifying a false identity. And this is so damaging to our growth and personal transformation because at the end of the day, we are all capable of making changes in our lives. But when we encode this information, our strategy in a way that a part of us doesn't actually recognize it, we're solidifying a false identity. It starts to make our self-perception sort of distorted. And we're not actually getting a clear picture of who we are and what we're actually capable of. Why? Because we didn't communicate our intentions effectively to that part of ourselves that actually wants to be better and transform and self-improve. And this is the language that it understands. SMART goals. You might have heard of this. SMART goals. SMART goals are something that is quite popular. And the reason for that is because each letter of SMART goals stands for something. And this is a methodology to start creating a language to speak to yourself in, so that when you have your behavior, it is something that's going to be real, authentic. And not only that, it's going to be like your actual like expression of what you're actually capable of, rather than when you're coming from a reactionary place and an emotional place, and not coming from a well thought out place where your intentions are clear. And this is what SMART goals allows us to do, is to make our intentions super clear. So let's go through what SMART goals actually stand for. We've got S for specific. We've got M for measurable. So specific and measurable. When you talk about specific, let's say, for example, you want to go and start running, and you want to start a new running regime. Specificity is so important, because if you're not specific where you're going to run, how you're going to run, how long you're going to run, is this going to be a gym, or is there a route, is it going to be with someone or without someone, what are you going to wear, what time is this happening, how are you going to get there? The specific nature of this goal is important, not only for you, but for you to be able to start seeing your actual real potential. You can allow yourself to see your full potential when you come from this place. It's really just about setting the right intentions. So we've got the specificity, then we need measurable. When we're talking to that part of ourselves that wants to improve and wants to transform, it likes to hear the language in which you're able to measure it, so that you know that you're actually getting closer to the goal or away from the goal. And being able to measure that also gives you the self-knowledge of what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are. For example, what you might realize is that when you are trying to start this new activity, you start trying to start this new goal of wanting to start running, the measurable part is tracking. And this is the sort of boring part, but it's a necessary part. And the tracking helps so much because it helps you to get that self-knowledge that one day it was really easy to go for that run. And you can look back and realize, yep, it was easy because I got a good night's sleep. I was well rested. I was well hydrated. My friend was there motivating me. All these things that might help you. And the next day you might realize, oh no, I couldn't finish this goal. But then you start noticing these other things. Oh, well, I had a bad sleep. My friend couldn't make it. And I didn't have my clothes that were clean that I generally wear. So I had to look for other clothes, and that wasted my time. And then it was raining outside. And so you might figure out And these patterns, so important to have that self-knowledge, so that in the future, when you're setting those intentions, you're actually able to set them in a way where it's achievable for you, which takes us to the next one, the achievable and the realistic, the A and the R in the SMART goals. Achievable and realistic are super important. Let's say you have no running experience and you want to start running starting tomorrow. You want to start running 5 kilometers every day and you've got no running experience. You don't have access to a gym. Maybe you don't even have good running shoes. Maybe there's not even a route that you could go and run in the street. Do you think that's achievable for you? Do you think that's realistic? Of course not. And this is where we self sabotage without realizing. We set goals for ourselves that we're not able to achieve, saying that I'm going to start doing this when you know that that's not realistic for you. It's good to aim high, but when the challenge is way too high, then it becomes something so unachievable it starts stressing us out. It needs to be just outside your comfort zone, but not too high. And that is where you'll find your own sweet spot once you start doing these SMART goal setting. And the last one is the time dependent goals. When we start using this language to speak to that part of ourselves, we have to tell it in terms of time so it can be visualized, that this running thing is happening in the morning and I'm doing it every week, but I'm only doing it 5 days a week. And then sometimes I might do it on weekdays, but I'm not going to do it on weekends. Or this is going to start tomorrow and then I'm going to run a 3-month experiment and then I'll see how I feel afterwards. There's time needs to be taken into account of that goal. It can't just be a vague, ongoing thing that you think about as a reaction. And these are some of the reasons why you might have failed, but really what you were missing was the strategy in the whole thing. Now, if you found this live helpful, I would love to have you join our group coaching community where together we solve these kinds of problems and more and start coming out of self-doubt and into self-mastery. So if that's something that you're interested in, the link is going to be in the pinned comment to secure your spot. Right now, we are offering it at a discounted rate. So if you're interested, let's do this 4 weeks transformational journey together. And I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, stay well. Bye.